think we've been burgled and my wife's been attacked.
What's the address?
We're on number 35, the Avenue in Middlesbrough, Linthorpe.
Police have launched a murder investigation after a woman was found dead at her home in Middlesbrough. Officers were called to a house on the Avenue in Linthorpe at 8:20 on Monday evening. 34-year-old Jessica Patel, originally from the Leeds area, was found with serious injuries at an address in Linthorpe and was pronounced dead at the scene.
It is still incomprehensible that this has happened and that she has gone. A life sentence will never be enough. We will never get Jessica back, and her dreams and wishes will remain unfulfilled.
This is a case of love, betrayal, and murder, as Jessica Patel, a young woman with dreams of love, was betrayed in the most horrific way imaginable by someone she deeply trusted. However, her high hopes of becoming a mother were dashed by this tragic event which was beyond her control. The most shocking part was that her husband had a horrible motivation. But what could that be? Let's find out. Jessica was born in a stunning city in the west of England in 1983. She came from a conventional, well-educated Indian family, and she was the oldest of 6 children. Her parents were both prosperous and well-educated members of the community. Jessica was, however, the family's pride and a well-mannered youngster right from an early age. Jessica was a kind and reserved person, but she also had a strong sense of ambition, just like a lot of other young ladies. She aspired to make her dreams come true and never stopped trying. Nevertheless, she identified her career path early on and set out to become a chemist with her own pharmacy. She consequently made a consistent effort to work hard and study throughout her growth. Jessica has always had a soft spot for romance. She frequently watches romantic Hollywood films and harbors dreams of meeting the love of her life. However, she attended De Montfort University in the early 2000s to pursue a degree in pharmacy before transferring to the University of Manchester. She saw Mitesh again at De Montfort, her old secondary school classmate with whom she had briefly been close before they parted ways. Their adult reunion appeared to be preordained, as their personalities and upbringings were strikingly similar. Like Jessica, Mitesh was from a large Hindu family and was a quiet, reserved man who studied pharmacy. They showed concern for one another, never got bored, and would frequently converse for hours non-stop over the phone. Stuffed animals that Mitesh had given Jessica littered her room, serving as a reminder of his warmth and devotion to her. Jessica was a dreamer, as we stated previously. Therefore, it was easy for her to lose herself in it and be carried away when she was treated so kindly and warmly by a guy. But things took another turn when Jessica's mother became gravely ill shortly after she met Mitesh and eventually passed away. It was among Jessica's most difficult periods of life. Fortunately, Mitesh was there to support Jessica at this trying time, giving her encouragement and a solid shoulder to cry on. And after this incident, Jessica realized that Mitesh was the man she wanted to wed and spend the rest of her life with. To bless the newlyweds, Mitesh and Jessica threw a lavish wedding in July 2009 that drew hundreds of people. It was the first time in their Hindu community that a wedding had drawn so many guests, roughly 600, and the event was held in a lovely garden. This momentous occasion served as evidence of Jessica and Mitesh's unbreakable friendship and intense love. After the wedding, Mitesh persuaded Jessica to relocate to Middlesbrough, a city more than an hour's drive away. Meanwhile, she figured out that this place was very far from her family, and she did not want to live far from them. This got her a bit worried at first, but she eventually agreed to join her husband. Since both Jessica and Mitesh came from wealthy backgrounds, they quickly acquired a sizable home in one of Linthorpe's most exclusive and picturesque neighborhoods after getting married. The young couple didn't stop there. They also bought a pharmacy on Roman Road, a busy local thoroughfare. Their business was so successful that they upgraded their house and hired more workers.
The chemist, roughly around about 7:30, he ordered his pizza and then he left. We were quite busy at the time, so it must have been about 20 minutes, half an hour. He'd come back. I gave him his pizza. I shook his hand like normal, and he left with the pizza.
Soon after, the couple of chemists were well known in the community due to their amiable nature. The life of Jessica and Mitesh was virtually ideal. A child was the only thing lacking from their perfect family at this time. Jessica always dreamed of being a mother because she grew up in a big family. They did not, however, find this to be an easy feat. They tried for many years, but they were never able to feel the bliss of parenthood, and so they turned to in vitro fertilization for Jessica to become pregnant, much like a lot of other couples who were having trouble conceiving. Regretfully, misfortune plagued Jessica and Mitesh during their childbearing journey. The outcomes of 3 separate IVF efforts and hundreds of consultations were still unsatisfactory. Their mood was greatly affected by the cycle of hope and disappointment. Despite their extreme sadness and pain, they didn't give up. The young couple finally felt a glimpse of optimism because of their unwavering persistence. And when the doctor revealed that they had successfully fertilized 3 embryos in 2018, their 4th attempt, and that the odds of success were extremely high, Jessica was ecstatic, and their joy knew no bounds. She immediately phoned her sister to let her know how happy she was and to share her gut feeling about the likely outcome.
Come back off holiday and we were talking in the evening, and she was just telling me about the IVF and this 4th round. She was so happy because this round was a positive round. She said that it looks like it's going really well. They managed to freeze 3 embryos, and in June, so within a matter of weeks, she was due to have them implanted, and she was so positive they were going to work this time. The happiness was in her. I can't even describe how happy she was, because that dream of becoming a mother was just about to materialize for her.
Jessica's lifelong ambition of having a child was about to come true. But unbelievably, a few weeks later, a tragedy that nobody could have predicted destroyed her lovely dream, and this ruined her chances of ever becoming a mother. For Jessica, May 14th, 2018, started just like any other day. While her father visited Mitesh, who worked only half a day, she went to work at the drugstore. It was early in the afternoon. Mitesh left the pharmacy to go to the gym, and Jessica got home at 7:30. After getting a computer from the drugstore, Mitesh went to buy a pizza too. It was approximately 8:20 in the evening when he arrived and was met with a terrifying sight. Mitesh realized something was wrong and called the police right away.
I think we've been burgled and my wife's been attacked. I've just come home and the house is ransacked, and she's just on the floor. She's got duct tape all over her and she's like unconscious.
Right, you said is your wife breathing? Can you feel the
No,
pulse?
I can't feel anything. Her hands are really cold. She's got like blood on her nose and stuff dripping out onto the floor. Please, can you send someone quickly?
Yeah, I am.
Mitesh informed the authorities that his wife had no pulse and was lifeless. He claimed to have left the house approximately an hour earlier, adding that he had taken the tape off her arms, legs, and neck, and that she was unconscious. He also made it clear that she was not responding. When questioned about the bruises, Mitesh stated he saw marks on her neck and blood on the ground, and he unsuccessfully attempted to rouse her from her excruciating sleep. However, the police on the other end told him an ambulance was on its way. Jessica was in the living room when the medical team eventually made their way inside the house. Despite their best efforts, it was too late to save her. Early on the 15th of August, the devastating news that the neighborhood chemist had been killed in her own house woke up the people of Linthorpe. People in the neighborhood were left confused and afraid as a result of the sudden upsurge in disturbance and concern in the community. The quiet neighborhood where they resided looked like it was being terrorized by a brazen robber. Furthermore, all of the residents felt exposed and worried that they would eventually become the next casualty.
Van police, 2 ambulances. It was like a movie, like something you'd see out of a movie. To be honest, it was absolutely horrendous.
The community moved quickly because they were shocked by this incident. To secure their houses, they hurried to purchase more locks and set up security systems. The neighborhood had been quiet the day before, but now everything was completely different. Meanwhile, the cops swiftly responded to the call and secured the crime scene. When gathering clues and evidence, the first 60 minutes following a murder are very crucial. As a result, the police surrounded the location right away, Jessica's sister Manal discovered something was wrong when she awoke in the middle of the night to find her husband sitting still at the end of the bed. Jessica's family was promptly informed of this terrible news. Still, they rushed to Mitesh and Jessica's house. Mitesh was sitting on the sofa, his head in his hands, when Manal came into the living room. She took a seat beside him to provide solace. With his head buried in Manal's shoulder, Mitesh wailed violently, unable to control his tears. Manal emphasized that the entire family would support him no matter what happened. Everyone's heart was touched by the sound of tears as the room filled with a melancholic ambiance. The police conducted a comprehensive investigation of the crime site after requesting that Mitesh and Jessica's family leave the residence. They were immediately struck by the absence of any indications of either outside vandalism or forced entrance. While Mitesh maintained that Jessica was naive and might have let anyone in, this implied that Jessica might have known who attacked her. Since Mitesh was the one who knew Jessica the best, he was the first person on the police's list of people to have his alibis verified. The cops required precise information regarding Mitesh's activities that day. In addition to verifying his alibi, this will help determine when the murderer broke into the house. Determining Mitesh's exact departure time from the house was also essential, since it allowed the police to review security camera footage from the vicinity at the time of the murder. Around 7 in the evening, Mitesh said he had left the house to get pizza, driven home, and found Jessica unconscious with her arms and legs taped together in the living room near the window. Everything was strewn all over the place. The house was like a war zone. Since Mitesh stated that he had been gone from home for a little over 30 minutes, Jessica had to have been killed sometime between 7:45 and 8:20. However, earlier test findings revealed Jessica died from asphyxiation, and the bruises on her neck suggested the perpetrator had strangled her with a kind of cord. 3 days after Jessica passed away, on May 17, 2018, the family got a call from the police letting them know that a suspect had been taken into custody the previous afternoon. A 37-year-old male who was allegedly engaged in Jessica's murder had been taken into custody, according to the police. When the family went to the police station the following day to find out who the suspect was, they were taken aback and couldn't believe it was Mitesh Patel, Jessica's husband, who they had loved and trusted. When Jessica's family and the neighborhood found out, they were shocked and in disbelief. People initially believed that the cops might have made a mistake. However, it aroused many doubts, as the police confirmed they had enough evidence to accuse Mitesh. After all, how could a husband like Mitesh, who appeared to love his wife sincerely, commit such a horrific act? But every play must come to an end. How did it happen? And what led to Mitesh killing his wife? A hard disk from the surveillance camera system was discovered by the police during their investigation when they searched the home and discovered it under the bedroom mattress and concealed within clothing. Mitesh has never told the police about this aspect of the home's security camera system. According to the security camera footage, Jessica left the house at 7 p.m. and came back at 8:15, whereas Mitesh arrived home at 3 p.m. and stayed put. However, there was no proof that anyone else had come into or gone out of the residence. The security camera had been deactivated precisely 6 minutes before Mitesh made the police call. Although the police saw the scratches on Mitesh's neck, he said they were the result of an accident at the gym. However, according to forensic analysis, it was discovered that when Mitesh attacked his wife, Jessica, she fought very hard and resisted, as it was evidenced by Jessica's DNA found under his fingernails. Police located the spool of tape that was used to bind Jessica at the pharmacy. The ripped piece of tape matched the remaining roll exactly when compared. Additionally, a suitcase full of clothing was also discovered beneath the bed. They found jewelry in a gold bar kept in a safe that was estimated to be worth £25,000 after searching the medical cabinet. This evidence elevated Mitesh to the position of a chief suspect. The police decided to examine Mitesh's computer and cell phone to learn more about his motivation. They discovered a shocking fact in Mitesh's computer's search history. Mitesh had been exploring the internet for terms like how to kill wife, insulin overdose, and even viewed a video on the time needed to make someone stop breathing entirely, since 2013, which is to say around 5 years before Jessica was murdered. Remarkably, he bought a £2 million life insurance policy on Jessica not long after looking for these terms. When the police looked through Mitesh and Jessica's iPhones, they discovered indisputable proof. Although Mitesh displayed confidence in his intelligence, he was ignorant of the existence of a health app on iPhones that tracks the user's heart rate and activities. This app tracks every movement up and down stairs, as well as heart rate, and all this data is accurately recorded according to specific timestamps. According to the health app on his phone, Mitesh did not contact the police right away after bringing the pizza home. Rather, he spent roughly 4 minutes upstairs. This made the police think that he might have tried to conceal the security camera system's hard disk at that time. Additionally, according to the health app, Mitesh was seen scurrying around the residence at roughly 7:04 p.m., which suggests that he was dispersing objects to simulate a burglary scene. Then he shifted Jessica's phone and positioned it close to the door to give the impression that someone had dropped it during their escape. With such careful preparation, it was obvious that Mitesh had been planning to kill his wife for a long time. Apparently, Mitesh and Jessica seemed like a happy couple to the outside world. What took place behind closed doors? What was the real story behind their blissful marriage? What was Jessica's fault on that terrible day? All of this was shockingly disclosed throughout the trial for all parties involved. Before the trial, Jessica's family had only learned around 5% of the whole truth, and they were unprepared for the information they were about to find out. Mitesh admitted to the whole process of committing the crime and the whole background of the case during the 3-week trial. After his earlier gym workout on May 14, 2018, Mitesh came home. Jessica arrived home at around 7 p.m., not realizing that Mitesh had been waiting for her. Death was waiting for Jessica as she stepped inside the home, but she didn't realize it. Mitesh moved fast, covering Jessica's head with a garbage bag in an attempt to suffocate her. The plastic bag broke even though Jessica struggled and fought for her life, but Mitesh didn't stop there. Subsequently, he gave Jessica a massive insulin injection, which left her weak and unable to resist. Mitesh choked Jessica until her breath left her, cold and monstrous. Suddenly, the reality behind Jessica and Mitesh's idyllic family picture came to light. The July 2009 wedding pictures capture a moment of excitement and brightness as bride Jessica radiates in her stunning sar, looking youthful and content next to her new spouse. Mitesh appeared to be the perfect boyfriend when he started dating Jessica in college. He was always buying her sentimental toys and romantic presents. They seemed like the ideal pair. Jessica persuaded the family that Mitesh's 2009 proposal was a good idea, even though they felt it was too soon. They did not want to wait, despite their family's rigorous dedication to Hinduism. But Mitesh, the groom, had a dark secret in his life, a parallel life in which he had affairs with men on Grindr behind the backs of his new bride. Their marital status was a facade that concealed Mitesh's true sexual orientation and served as a means of upholding their family's and the Hindu community's honor. Meanwhile, unaware that she was a ruse who was being taken advantage of, poor Jessica believed she had found a perfect husband. There was pain and tears in the days that followed. A year later, Jessica and Mitesh's relationship was clearly on the rocks. After the wedding, Jessica confessed to her sisters that she sensed Mitesh was changing over time.
At the time, she ended up on antidepressants. She became such an anxious person. Mitesh would quite often blackmail her by telling her that he would leave her and their relationship would be over if she was unwilling to carry on with going through the rounds of IVF. And I think for her, that relationship falling apart would mean her dreams falling apart.
When she disclosed that they had not had sex for 10 months, a short while after being married, the family was taken aback. Mitesh started to exert more and more influence throughout this period. The family gathered at Jessica's grandfather's bedside when he became gravely ill in February 2010 and was placed in a special care room. But his cherished granddaughter Jessica could only come for short trips. Jessica told me, "Mitesh won't let me stay," her sister Meenal said. She claimed that after their argument about it in the car, he had hit her. Jessica also told her sisters that he frequently kept mysterious secrets and that he occasionally choked her. Meenal went on to say that he would leave the room and carry on the conversation in one of the upper attic rooms if he was still talking on the phone when she came in to go to bed. He would occasionally stay up till 4 a.m., but Jessica was a kind and understanding woman. She did not want to end their marriage, even though she felt mistreated and had no ill will towards her spouse. Perhaps her love for him became stronger, making it possible for her to put up with all of Mitesh's harsh treatment towards her. Ultimately, Jessica came to the devastating realization that Mitesh had never truly loved her, which absolutely broke her heart. So, why then did he date her and go on to marry her? Mitesh planned to use her as a front to conceal his true sexual nature, but in reality, he is gay. Because Mitesh comes from a Hindu family that is very traditional and strict, so he uses Jessica as a weapon to hide his true identity and uphold his family's honor. It was incredibly self-centered of him to not give a damn about how she felt. Mitesh frequently utilized the third-gender dating app Grindr. In front of Jessica, he would frequently bring his sweethearts home and introduce them as new friends. Additionally, employees at the drugstore reported that on occasion, they witnessed Mitesh bringing other guys into the store after it closed. Though he had several same-sex partners, Mitesh was only in love with one. After meeting Dr. Mitesh Patel on Grindr, Mitesh began a passionate connection with him 2 years into their marriage.
In 2011 December, on the Grindr app, he met a guy called Mitesh Patel.
In front of Jessica, Mitesh not only extended an invitation to his partner to stay, but also introduced him as a friend. The innocent woman did not realize her husband was cheating on her in front of her when she unwittingly welcomed his partner. Soon after, Mitesh declared that he had purchased a Middlesbrough pharmaceutical company, and that, as the couple was about to relocate 60 miles away from their relatives, he had persuaded his wife to follow him. While Mitesh kept seeing Amit and was active on gay dating apps, Jessica believed that this would be a new beginning for their marriage. After living together for 6 years without having sex, Jessica decided to try in vitro fertilization because she felt pressured to conceive a family. However, the idea that Mitesh had planned to use his wife's embryos to have a baby with his lover was even more disturbing. When Jessica's family learned that Mitesh had never desired a child with Jessica and that he had even used birth control pills covertly to lower his sperm count to avoid natural conception, it was disheartening to them. Jessica experienced bouts of exhaustion and stress during the 2 years she underwent the fertilization procedure. She acknowledged that every setback was terrible for her and that her mental health had worsened as a result. After a successful 4th round of fertilization, the couple received news on May 9, 2018, that 3 embryos had been fertilized and would be implanted the following month. While visiting family, 4 days later, Manal reported, "She was truly happy. The chance to become a mother had finally come to her, and all her dreams had become reality. But just a day later, she left this world. Her delight was cleared from her face." He told Amit about Jessica's fertilization procedure in a message and inquired, "Will you be with me through this?" "She might get pregnant. We'll deal with that when it happens," Amit replied. Additionally, Mitesh hinted that once Jessica departs, she won't be an obstacle for them. Amit moved to Australia in 2016, and Mitesh started to fantasize about starting over there with his sweetheart, Amit. Her day had been marked, he emailed him. This demonstrates that he was willing to divorce his wife to be with his genuine love because he saw her as a barrier. Mitesh had aspirations of having a family with Amit, and he intended to transport embryos to Australia so they could raise their offspring together. Additionally, the police learned that Mitesh had researched the cost of housing in the Australian city where Amit resided. After murdering Jessica, Mitesh had a sinister plan to utilize the life insurance payout he had obtained for his wife to provide him with the freedom and resources he needed to begin living the life he had always dreamed of. Nevertheless, the prosecution said that Mitesh's primary goal was to depart his strict Hindu familial upbringing and head to Australia to live with his partner and begin a new family. In addition, he was to inherit a £2 million life insurance policy. The result of Mitesh's heinous deeds and schemes was a life sentence without the possibility of parole for at least 30 years. But why would Mitesh kill his wife when he could have easily divorced her and walked away? Why go through all those processes? The victim's family appears to suffer for the rest of their lives, especially now that Jessica is no longer with them. Jessica's tale should encourage other victims of domestic abuse to get assistance rather than bear with their misery in silence. Now, just like Jessica, Lucas was murdered by the people he trusted, people whom he held in high esteem. Check out this video, Killed by Church Pastors, the case that shocked the world, to find out more about this horrifying case. And if you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, share, and comment down below. See you in our next video.